Welcome back to Sunday Supplement. Mark, let me come to you because Michael Carrick's set to be announced as the permanent head coach of Manchester United. I just want to refer you to a piece in The Observer by Rory Smith. New manager wanted, please inquire within. With clubs circling the same coaches, the market looks alarmingly short of elite candidates. Now, Carrick's appointment, is this a result of two factors? His fantastic performance, we shouldn't underestimate that, how well he's done, but also the potential challenges he might have had for this role.
Yes, I think what's happened is that when Michael Carrick came in, United obviously wanted him to be an interim and find a more proven manager at that level in the summer. But the candidates that have kind of diminished since then, Thomas Tuchel ruled himself out pretty much straight away by signing a contract with England. Carlo Ancelotti was committed to Brazil and has extended that contract. Luis Enrique, I think, was always just beyond United's reach. And then if they wanted somebody to fit their profile of a Champions League winner or a Premier League winner, then you're looking at who's done that. Pep Guardiola, you're not getting him. Jurgen Klopp, you're not getting him. So the field of candidates that would have ticked all their boxes basically disappeared. There's nobody out there that's available that fits that profile. Now, when Michael Carrick came in, all these pictures at least, Iraola, Oliver Glasner, etc., even Marco Silva, were rated ahead of Michael Carrick because they were proven Premier League managers with a track record of delivering success, albeit relative. But Michael Carrick's kind of gone beyond all of those by what he's done at United. He's proven that he can handle the United roller coaster, to now at least. So I don't think United could have sold the appointment of an Iraola or a Glasner or a Silva ahead of Michael Carrick because he's shown he can handle the pressure cooker of Man United. And that was a problem for Amorim, for Ten Hag and others. It might be the problem for Glasner, for Iraola, etc. So Michael Carrick has put himself at the top of that list of those candidates. It was never going to be better than Tuchel, Ancelotti, Luis Enrique, but they weren't gettable. So United have arrived at a situation whereby he's the best option right now. And we shouldn't diminish what Michael Carrick's achieved. When he came in, I mean, Stephen Ralston said then they were sixth, but they were a million miles off the Champions League. They were more likely to finish in mid-table. They'd just drawn at Leeds, they'd drawn at home to Wolves, sorry, Jackie. They'd lost at home to Everton. They were really struggling to get results over the line. So I think they were going south rather than going north. So Michael Carrick's come in and taken them way beyond expectations. So he's earned the right for the job. And just one final thing. Everyone's making the comparison to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's a completely false comparison because different characters, different mindset. Michael Carrick's a harder, less emotional character than Solskjaer.
Yeah.
And the one significant thing that Michael Carrick did, on day one he brought Steve Holland in, an experienced coach. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer never did that. He had a young coaching team and resisted the club's attempts to add more experience to it. So Michael Carrick's shown that he can see a problem, he can identify it and get somebody to solve it. It's different to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So let's just part the Solskjaer comparison. It's different.
There are two things. I'm not saying giving Michael Carrick the job's the wrong thing. There are two qualifications, though, that I think has been debated internally at Manchester United and needs to be talked about. One, he's been an interim manager for a period of time. Bruno Fernandes, I did an interview with Bruno Fernandes last month, and he mentioned this himself. He said, we've had this before. We've had periods where we were flying and that we were doing well, that we had this. It's doing it over the course of a whole season. So it's a different body of work. And that's not to say he shouldn't get the job. The bigger issue for me is the style of football. And I think he's done very, very well, very well. They've obviously won games, but they've not been great at times. They've not been great. And that's not his fault because obviously he's inherited a situation with a group of players. But I think the internal debate at Manchester United is, can he play the front foot football that they want? And that's why they looked at Roberto De Zerbi. That's why they looked at Andoni Iraola. And obviously De Zerbi, I'm told, there are a number of factors why he didn't get the job. Obviously he's taken the Tottenham job. I think his demands were very, very high. I think Tottenham have acceded to those demands a bit more. Iraola, the big concern was, yes, the football's fantastic, but can he deal with the pressure? The Bournemouth is one thing, Manchester, and we've seen this before countless times. So I can see why they didn't do Iraola, but I think there are a couple of things around Carrick that he needs to convince internally as well that he can actually be the manager. But I think he's obviously done that for now, but I think it is a factor going forward. The Steve Holland thing is a big issue, but even Steve, as good a coach as he is, he doesn't play a lot of front foot football, and I think Manchester United, fundamentally, if you're talking about winning the league, they need to do more of that.
Jackie, picking up on what the guys have said there, look, Mark said that Michael Carrick can handle the roller coaster that is Manchester United, but we shouldn't forget that this is going to be a totally different job in August. He's going to have a transfer window where he will try and buy those players that Jason said will be able to play that front foot football, but also by the time the season ends next Sunday, it will have been a 40-game season. He'll have taken charge of half of that season where on occasions they've had 3 weeks between games. he's not going to have that next season. There's going to be Champions League, and he will be expected to go further in the cups than opening round exits that they experienced this season. How big a challenge is that going to be in itself?
Well, it's a huge challenge, but the fact is nothing in football is perfect. There is rarely a perfect scenario. We were talking about Pep potentially leaving. When's the ideal time to leave? You tell people in advance, then the players take their eyes off the ball. And in this situation at Manchester United, there is no perfect candidate for the reason that Mark has just laid out. You look at the alternatives and there's reasons why they couldn't or shouldn't appoint any of the others. So therefore you look at the man in situ and see the job that he's done. And in terms of what he had available to him and the situation at the time, he's done fantastically well. And when you think of Manchester United finished 15th last season, below West Ham, level on points with Wolves, and started very iffy, wishy-washy under Amorim, who simply wasn't the right man for that task. He has managed to tick a lot of boxes. So yes, they've had all that time. They went out of cup competitions at the first hurdle, both of them domestically, pretty much unheard of, but he's made the best of the job, and he could only do the best that he could in that situation. And so it is going to be a huge summer. The backroom staff we've talked about, fantastic. He himself has talked about wanting to play that exciting front foot football. He wants to be lifted off his seat watching Manchester United play. He's speaking the language of the United supporters. He can handle the pressure, we've seen that. And it's going to be fascinating to see next season. But the recruitment is absolutely key.
And to be fair to them, they have got the recruitment more right recently, haven't they? I mean, they had a good summer last summer. So I think that is a big ground for hope as well, that they can actually improve the squad by... And Jason Wilcox has done a good job in the recruitment.
Midfield is going to be absolutely key as well, isn't it?
Manchester United have contacted the agents of Real Madrid midfielder Aurelien Tchouameni as their summer midfield rebuild takes another twist. Man United quickly agreed a deal with Atalanta worth under £40 million to sign Ederson even before the transfer window officially opened, with the player expected to complete his move to Old Trafford when he returns from representing Brazil at the 2026 World Cup. The Brazilian is the first piece of the jigsaw puzzle as the Red Devils look to transform their midfield, and there could be 2 more additions to come should Manuel Ugarte join Casemiro in leaving Old Trafford this summer. Having failed to make any progress with a move to sign top target Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest, with the England international looking destined to join rivals Manchester City instead, club chiefs turned their attentions to West Ham United's Mateus Fernandes following the London outfit's relegation to the Championship. United considered the 21-year-old a target anyway, but there is more of a chance of prizing him away from the Hammers given the player has no intention of playing in the Championship. Agreeing a fee with West Ham will likely prove the most difficult hurdle though, given they are staying strong on their £85 million valuation. With no breakthrough in talks to sign Fernandes yet, United officials are now said to have made contact with the agent of Tchouameni. Fabrizio Romano has already made it clear that the club see the France international as their dream midfield transfer target, above all others. The 26-year-old is seen as the perfect replacement for Casemiro, who leaves a huge void in the United engine room after leaving the club following the expiry of his contract. According to Italian journalist Gianluigi Longari, Real are open to selling the 26-year-old star this summer following the appointment of Jose Mourinho, even though the player himself would like to stay. United chiefs have expressed strong interest in signing the Frenchman to the player's agents. He may have had a public bust-up with teammate Federico Valverde on the Real Madrid training ground, which saw both players fined €500,000, but there is no doubting his quality. His former teammate Kima Andres has described him as the best DM in the world, and there aren't many better options on the globe in that position than Tchouameni. During his 4 years at the Bernabeu, the 26-year-old has won the Champions League and La Liga, making 195 appearances along the way. Tchouameni is ideal for United's midfield as he is happy to sit and screen the defence, which will give someone like Kobbie Mainoo more freedom to make a difference further forward. The France international is also physically dominant and powerful, with elite-level defensive anticipation that helps him snuff out any danger. His tackling success and defensive duel wins also consistently rank among the best in Europe, which only further enhance his reputation as being one of the top defensive midfielders on the globe. Fabrizio Romano has revealed that Manchester United remain in contact over a potential move for Lewis Hall from Newcastle this summer. United are expected to switch their attention to signing a new left-back once they address their midfield dealings, with Ederson on course to complete a €45 million move from Atalanta. Another midfielder is expected to be pursued after Ederson, but Romano confirmed that Hall is a player that United really love, although a deal to sign him will be difficult due to Newcastle's hardline stance over the 21-year-old. Over the last 2 or 3 days, Manchester United kept the contacts alive and active with those close to Lewis Hall, the left-back from Newcastle, Romano said on YouTube. Manchester United already made contact a few weeks ago. Manchester United have genuine interest in the player, they really like Lewis Hall, so he's one of the targets. Of course, we know Manchester United are going to be busy with midfielders. That area of the pitch for Man United remains a priority because Ederson is coming, Ederson is done. But then after Ederson, one more midfielder at least, it could be 2, we will see, but one more midfielder will join Manchester United. And then left-back remains a position they want to cover. Lewis Hall is a player they really, really love at Manchester United. Then this depends on Newcastle because they will not make it easy. Newcastle will not make Hall sale easy for Man United, claims Romano. Hall still has 3 years remaining on his contract with Newcastle, and there had been speculation that the youngster had a falling out with manager Eddie Howe after failing to make Thomas Tuchel's England squad for the 2026 World Cup. However, these reports were vehemently denied by Newcastle sources, who insist that Hall and Howe remain on good terms, with the club planning to offer their star wonderkid a new contract at the earliest opportunity. Newcastle are open to the sale of Tino Livramento or Sandro Tonali this summer after missing out on European football for next season, having already sold Anthony Gordon to Barcelona for €70 million, but they consider Hall to be untouchable. Newcastle's stance is that they already sold Anthony Gordon and the expectation is for Sandro Tonali to go this summer, so to sell also Lewis Hall could be too much, Romano added. So it's not going to be easy. Newcastle will not make it easy to sell Hall. It would take important money and an important transfer fee. And then we know when Newcastle's stance is, we don't want to sell the player, it could be complicated, it could take some time. We saw what happened also last summer with Alexander Isak. So for sure a situation to follow, the one with Lewis Hall with strong interest from Manchester United, but still nothing guaranteed or easy on this one.